elected official, we really should be saying.
I hear nothing.
Yeah. In the old days, I would have said.
John, how's your computer working? Mine's still doing it. I did the updates. It took forever to find out how to get those updates done, but hasn't made a difference. Yeah, that's what I told Blair too. Are you here after the 10:30 meeting? Okay,
That's why Blair-
I'll swap it out.
Well, picking up on Friday.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's on. Okay, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's meeting of the Kane County Energy and Environmental Committee. I hear a little echo. If it's me, I apologize there. Do we still have an echo? Or is that okay?
hear it.
I don't hear it.
Okay,
Sounds
Oh.
good to me.
maybe I'm not used to being in the front of the cathedral here. Okay, thanks. My name is still Mavis Bates and welcome to March 14th, Energy and Environmental. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen. Caius,
Guys present.
Genesis,
Dennis is here.
Rathman, Young, Tarver,
Carver's here remote.
Bates.
Bates, yes. Thank you. May I have for Mr. Tarver to attend remotely due to work purposes? Thank you very much. I would like to start the meeting out of order with the Earth Pledge. Nobody has to stand up. I just want to remind us all why we have an Energy and Environmental Committee. And especially in these times, we need to remind ourselves once in a while. So here's the Earth Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the earth, to its mountains, rivers, soil, and sky. One planet, irreplaceable, to be cherished and protected by all. So be it. Okay, thank you. I'm the chairman. I guess I get to do that if I want to. Ms. Schrage. Sorry, I should know that by now. Say it again, please.
Shruggy, thank you for asking.
Okay.
Okay. Point of order, or point of order, approval of the minutes was next. Are you going to go out of order in that?
I
too?
didn't mean to go out of order. Thank you. Please stand down, Ms. Schrage.
Make a motion for unanimous consent of the February 21st minutes.
It'd be fast.
Second, please.
Don't need a second?
Yeah.
Any objection?
Any objections?
Objection?
Wait a
No.
minute. Okay, yes. Okay, the minutes having been approved, we will now do public comment. I see Ms. Schrage is signed up for public comment, please.
Sorry about that.
See what happens
That's
when you go
okay.
out of order.
Thank you. Now you got to say my name correctly. That's good. All right, so I'm Sylvia Shruggy, and I am here because I care about the environment. And my question to you is, what part of the environment are the people in Kane County? So we think about, the air, the water, the plants, the animals, the people should be really top concern for us and how all this affects them. So I went through the 2 PowerPoints that are going to be presented. And things that jump to my attention in the first PowerPoint, CE32 or whatever that is, support climate resilience of local economy by preparing water, road, utilities, and other public infrastructure for catastrophes, disasters. So I see a mention about perhaps a specific strategy intent. Mention is working with telecommunications and broadband networks, but what about the water? And so, I'm going to talk about the water and the lead in the water, because, but not just the lead. In the next section, when you talk about waste management, I want to bring to your attention something that people have brought to my attention and that I have witnessed directly is some of the things that go in the wastewater, and especially discharge instructions at the hospitals, where people are told to flush down the toilet their prescription and use prescription medicines. And I don't know if this is still happening, but this has been, I have seen it directly working in the hospital. And it's been brought to my attention by people working in our water departments, saying that they've heard and seen that, and they think it's an abomination. Then is that, what happens with that? Is it really cleaned up before released back into the water, or does it go into our water? So that's an overall practice that I think you are in a good position to try to address, with our health providers. So that's one item that I'm going to bring to your attention when it comes to wastewater, in addition to the typical toxic waste from companies and industry. And then when you, in the food and agriculture goals, you have community gardens. And when it comes to community gardens, what water are they going to be using to water their homegrown produce? If they're watering it with water full of lead, they're just eating homegrown lead products. So it doesn't really help anybody much. So that's another concern. Then when you encourage homegrown produce, what water are people using? Are you going to put filters on their hose so that there's no lead that they're using to water? Are they going to collect rainwater? But, and then what is in the rainwater? Can you test the rainwater? Please. I am serious about this. I am serious about
Point of
this.
order.
So
It's a one-way conversation.
so that is something to consider. If you collect rainwater, test that too. So that is one last point. Since you don't have any more speakers, I would beg if I can just wrap up what I'm going to say. But you have $1 million for the Fox, fabulous Fox. You have ARPA funds. And I had seen this in ARPA report, over $1 million, the equivalent of this, just converted, just like you use carbon credits. I would like you to use lead service line credits as a unit. $10,000 equals 1 lead service line replaced. So you are using 124 lead service lines for signage on trails on the river. The people who have to wait 10 years to get their lead service line replaced, I don't think they agree with this priority. And this is a big concern. Also, part of what you're doing with the Fabulous Fox is encouraging tourism. And I have heard from multiple newcomers, whether they are immigrants or particularly from immigrants, but also from other cities. And they say to me, what's in the water? My hair is just not so good. I'm losing my hair, it's damaging my hair. And so the water is affecting not just the hair and the skin, but there's so many effects. I have a list here, but I really want you to consider this a priority over signage. So you look at the health of your
Thank
community.
you. Thank you, Ms. Shockey. Okay, we have no other public comments, correct? Oh, Mr. David Young would like to speak.
David Young, just wanted to talk about the many, many products that are derived from oil and natural gas. Over 6,000 everyday products. As I go through this list, think about which ones of the people that are really against petrochemical and the oil industry, think about which one of these you're not going to use. Adhesives, air mattresses, ammonia, antifreeze, antihistamines, antiseptics, artificial limbs, artificial turf, asphalt, aspirin, awnings, backpacks, balloons, ballpoint pens, bandages, beach umbrellas, boats, cameras, candies and gum, candles, car battery cases, car enamel, cassettes, caulking, CDs, computer discs, cell phones, clothes, clothesline, clothing, coffee makers, cold cream, combs, computer keyboards, computer monitors, cortisone, crayons, credit cards, curtains. I have 4 pages. Dashboards, denture adhesives, dentures, deodorant, detergent, dice, dishwashing liquid, dog collars, drinking cups, dyes, electric brakes, electrical tape, enamel, epoxy paint, eyeglasses, fan belts, faucet washers, fertilizers, fishing boots, fishing lures, floor wax, food preservatives, footballs, fuel tanks, glue, glycerin, golf balls, golf bags, guitar strings, hair coloring, hair curlers, hand lotion, hearing aids, heart valves, house paint, hula hoops, ice buckets, ice chests, ice cube trays, ink, insect repellent, insecticides, insulation, iPad, iPhone, kayaks, laptops, life jackets, lightweight aircraft, lipstick, loudspeakers, lubricants, luggage, model cars, mops, motorcycle helmets, movie film, nail polish, noise insulation, nylon rope, oil filters, packaging, paintbrushes, paint roller, pajamas, pantyhose, parachutes, perfumes, permanent press, petroleum jelly, pharmaceuticals, pillow filling, plastic toys, plastics, plywood adhesive, propane, purses, putty, refrigerants, refrigerator linings, roller skate wheels, roofing, rubber cement, rubbing alcohol, safety glasses, shampoo, shaving cream, shoe polish, shoes, sandals, shower curtains, skateboard, skis, soap dishes, soft contact lenses, solar panels, solvents, spacesuits, sports car bodies, sunglasses, surfboards, swimming pools, synthetic rubber telephones, tennis rackets, tents, tires, toolboxes, tool racks, toothbrushes, toothpaste, transparent tape, trash, truck and automobile parts, tubing, TV cameras, umbrellas, unbreakable dishes, upholstery, vaporizers, vinyl flooring, vitamin capsules, water pipes, wind turbine blades, and yarn. I did that well in 33 minutes.
Good timing.
Didn't think you were gonna make.
I didn't either.
Ms. Wolnick.
Good morning. I don't have a formal report, but I was at the Illinois Association of Floodplain Managers Conference most of this week and was excited to hear from many of the professionals how impressed they were with our climate action plan and understand that DuPage County is actually using that as the basis, plan as the basis to develop their plan. So it was very exciting to hear from professionals in the industry how well received our plan is and we look forward to assisting any of these communities in DuPage County and moving their efforts forward. So is Austin or Sarah on yet?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was it.
Should we go to the climate action implement? Okay. There was some question about having to rearrange the agenda, but we're doing great. Okay, Miss, is that Miss Ryan who's on or Sarah?
Hinshaw.
Miss Hinshaw.
I,
would you
I
like-
yeah, Miss Inja. Hello. Morning. I'm sorry. I'm talking to you from a parking garage in Chicago. So I apologize if it sounds funny and there's some noise in the background.
Could you
Can you
pull,
go to
could you pull up the slide, please, for Sarah? Thank you. And
Perfect, thank
Sarah,
you.
if you can just let them know when you need to advance the slide to next slide, they'll flip it for you.
Perfect. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. So we had our second climate action implementation team meeting, or actually our third meeting, which was kind of our next round, so round 2. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So can you go to the next slide? So overall, we had it at the St. Charles Library. It was about 5:30 to 8. We ended a little bit early. It was fantastic. We had it in the Huntley room. There was 24 people there in all, and there were 6 people on Zoom. And then besides that, we had probably about 8 or 9 people past that that were new people that have emailed us saying, you know, we couldn't make it, but we want to be part of the team. And then of course we have the rest of the people that are still joining us that just weren't there at that time that was part of our team. Yeah, so that's the room. I guess a lot of people were walking by saying, "Ooh, what's going on in there? That looks interesting." So yes, go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is what we gave to everyone. So, and we wanted to, Mavis, we have one for you too. We gave everyone a little certificate just to say thank you so much for the people that were on our team in the past, how much we just truly appreciate their help in all the research that they did. We gave them this, and we gave them a little circle that looked like an earth that was we checked it out, made sure it was good with Claire Ryan, that it was all native plants. Just our little way, you know, something simple to say thank you. So
Very
go ahead and go to the
pretty.
next slide. Yes.
Yeah.
So what we are doing this time is we are having the same groups of people. So now we're having 8 sectors. Last time we did not have health and safety. This time we do. And so the teams are presented, instead of with this big giant list, they're presented with a list anywhere from 2 to 5 actions. And these actions were specifically chosen from our staff members that were, you know, our core members like Matt Tansley, Karen Miller, and so on. And so what the group will be doing is they'll be just picking 2, the same as before, they pick 2 out of it. But again, they have a much smaller list. And each staff member also wrote kind of a list of questions to really kind of get them prompted and really started in the right direction of what is to meet like the staff member needs and the research that the staff member wants and what they think is good for Kane County. So that way, you know, it's not as just, hey, here's a giant list. What do you want to do? It really hones in on certain actions. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So I'm definitely not going to read through all these, but I put them all up. So these are all the actions that, you know, this one was from Chris Toth, that they chose that were ones that, you know, they really wanted to focus on. You know, things like creating an online climate economy hub, right? To identify business owners that, you know, could be potential resources. Right now, one thing that I know Austin is working on is looking at businesses that are potentially vulnerable to climate impacts like flooding. So, you know, which falls right under that climate economy. You can go to the next one. So transportation and land use, we reached out to Gretchen. Her last name slips me at the moment. She's fairly new over in KDOT. She works on the PED plan. And so they really picked just 2 that really works for that, and not necessarily the land use, but just for transportation. So one, you know, conducting a, you know, neighborhood walk audit. I know there was one done in Aurora, but it was in 2012. It was very small scale. And so, you know, really bringing that up to a much larger scale would be fantastic. Again, I know that in the past we've had a bike share. It kind of went away during COVID is my understanding. So that would be something to look into again for the future. Next slide. So waste management. So this was all Claire, of course. She chose these ones specifically. We're still working with her on the previous actions, being one with her recycling education and outreach. We're going to help campaign for that one. We plan a video coming up pretty soon to kind of talk about it with different residents. So these are the ones that she specifically picked out. Hopefully, you know, the team, whatever two they decide, that team was our most active last round. There was, I think, 8 people in that, and everyone had so much passion in that team. So I'm really looking forward to working with them again. Next slide. So food and agriculture. So this went from a much bigger list to really 3. Again, if you look at that second one though, it is a giant long list of things to do, but all falls under, you know, increasing the productivity of homegrown, locally sourced foods. So of course, it's something that Matt is always working with farmers. You know, we're working with Kat Gertz about helping to get some technical assistance potentially available. We're meeting with her next week to, you know, maybe make some things like binders for the technical assistants that go out to talk to farmers, providing some resources for them. So again, this is an ongoing thing that we're going to continue working on. Next slide. Water and wastewater, this one was done by Rob Linky. These were the 2 that he picked out. And we have talked about these before, the need for a stormwater utility fee that is done in different municipalities. And so looking into that further and doing some more research would be an excellent approach. And then again, involving land managers to develop managing and conserve riparian zones along tributary that lead to the Fox River. This was mine specifically that I put into the, one of them that I put into the climate action plan, because I think it's very important to really work on, you know, that runoff to make sure that it stays, you know, keep that Fox River nice and fresh and keep it really nutrient, not heavy loaded. So next slide. Oh, and that's it. So those are the ones that we are proposing, and we have already set up all of our meetings. They're all within the next 2 weeks for our first initial meeting. Right now, I think most of them are all online. I don't have a number count of how many people have joined. On the top of my head, Austin does. But after that, we will definitely update you next month with everything that our first rounds went and how it all went. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ms. Hinshaw. Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Lewis?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I just wanted to thank everybody who's been involved in this, because I went to the very first kickoff meetings and I was on one of the teams, and the amount of work in this, I had to drop out. I'm sorry, I'm a dropout. But what I like is the approach you used was very, very smart. Anything that you said you wanted to do, you had to go look up scholarly articles to back your findings. I mean, this is like top-notch master's degree level work that you guys are doing on Saturdays and Sundays in the community, kind of. So none of these are entered into lightly. And I'm just incredibly impressed. So thank you for the hard work.
Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you. I
Lewis.
appreciate
I
it.
hope you heard that.
Yes, thank you.
And Sarah, did you hear, I hope Jody told you the part about the DuPage is looking at ours for our climate action plan as a model. That was
Oh, no, that's
exciting.
excellent. Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is some good stuff in here. Just a couple of thoughts. When there's an option to conduct or hire a consultant, I would love to see us conduct a study or do something like that. I mean, got lots of volunteers, as Anita pointed out, lots of passionate people about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes, you're going to be able to volunteer people better than you're going to pay. Because if I pay you,
Maybe that walkability
yeah,
study.
that kind of stuff is great. I love the large scale bike sharing program because that's a moneymaker for the bike people. So they love doing that. So anytime we can get businesses to benefit from stuff like this, they're going to engage with that a great deal. And I think there's opportunities, kind of goes back to what was said earlier, but working with the Forest Preserve on the riparian areas, which I didn't know that word, so I looked it up. And here it's basically anything leading to a waterway. So, my bathtub, I guess. would be riparian. But, the Forest Preserve's very interested in working on things that feed into waterways, and whether it's drugs going down the toilet, and those all go into our water supply. You can't take them out. As, invasive species that deposit like buckthorn and others that are putting literally poison into our water supplies. It mostly kills animals and makes them horribly, but we can kill several birds with one stone. I think protecting the water we drink, protecting the water the animals drink, improving Kane County naturally. So I'd like to see maybe, and I'd be glad to carry this to the Forest Preserve and say, how could some of these things integrate with what they're already doing? And they have people already on the ground doing this. So I think there's some good here. Little concern maybe on, some of the like waste stream audit stuff, because I think of small businesses. So at what size business would we suggest these things for people? And I'm a big carrot guy. So give people reasons to do this, and I think they'll embrace it. But yeah, good stuff. So yeah.
Okay,
Lots of
those were a lot of suggestions really fast.
Yes, sorry.
So we'll have to.
And I'd be
we'll
glad to
have
meet
Okay.
follow up, because this is a big, in our family, it's a huge thing. So.
Okay, great. Well,
Thank
and
you.
could, what?
Oh, I just said thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And maybe you could get on one of the water committees. Get on
Absolutely.
the committee. That would be wonderful.
Is there somebody I should talk to?
Talk to Sarah, I think.
Okay.
Yep, yes.
Okay, Sarah Miss Hinshaw.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you, I
Mr.
appreciate
Young.
it.
Hi, David Young. And one of the things that Mr. Grab just brought up, which rung a bell for me, is that I'd really, as these actions are being brought forth, just think about, first of all, these actions are something that there's a small committee and a small group of people are deciding for the whole entire county. So you've got 24 people deciding for the whole entire county, 550,000 people. This isn't even something we voted on. It's just something that this committee is doing. So I want you to put that in the back of your mind. And also, I'd like to understand how this will affect businesses, and if it is going to negatively impact businesses, meaning is it going to cost them more money to implement any of this? And if it does, what is the impact? And I'd like to have business owners be part of this discussion as you start finalizing these plans, so that you can get their input.
They're certainly invited to join. The community is invited to join any of these
And
committees.
so anyone can come, because I was told that certain people aren't allowed to show up at some of these meetings if they don't agree with what you're doing here. And so that's what it was implied to me, that if someone is not agreeing with what is being done here, they can't show up. Is that true?
I don't think so.
No.
No, let me just speak to that. The first meeting, actually the first couple that I was at.
Microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. The first meeting that I was at, there was one man at our table who was very, very negative about the whole thing in a nice way. And some of his points of view were like polar opposite to mine. And he had reasons for them. And we actually, everybody at that table loved the fact that he was playing that other side for us. None of this works if you don't have a collaborative effort, and you can't just only have people that think the way you do. So I don't think whoever told you that was really wrong, and
Okay.
you should go. Because everybody's, opinions, and you know how to be political and say things nicely and still get people thinking about, because you have to have it, because if we want to put in a plan for 500,000 people, we got to have a cross section of the people and how they're going to think. That's why we have so many elected officials.
Mr. Penesis?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, David. I think one of the things we should be looking at with this plan is actually, doing good for the environment oftentimes save businesses money. Maybe there could be a focus on, hey, if you do this, your business could save money on buying X, Y, and Z. Instead, you're going to buy A, B, and C. That's going to save your company money. Maybe that's one thing we could include in here, how businesses could actually save money to save the impact, with the climate implementation plan. That's just one thought that I had. 'Cause I do agree with what you're saying, because some of this stuff is, small businesses especially, money in, money out, they're barely making enough money to survive. We need to look at how businesses are affected by this. They're paying taxes just like we are. So I'll agree with you, David, on that one.
I would just add that the white papers, and we can provide some examples of them to the committee to better understand the process. But as Ms. Lewis pointed out, it is kind of a master's level type exercise here. So we're drilling down into all that information, the potential positive impacts, the potential negative impacts. And that's what's going to come out in this research paper of is this something we even want to go forward with, or are the negative impacts outweighing the positive impacts of it? And so once we start gathering the information and getting these white papers together, they will be coming to this committee as a decision-making tool of, we've done all the background research. We know the impacts on small businesses, large businesses, community support, the technical background of all this, and we'll have a big background paper to be able to solidify any kind of decisions that are being made. We want to make sure that we're looking at every potential positive and negative of each of these actions. And that's the heavy lifting that these volunteers are doing for us. That is just amazing.
That's great. And and then it's just going to be the education component, making sure the businesses hear about this. Yeah. Which is our job too.
Mr. Gripe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I've always been connected with chambers of commerce. That's how I got my business going. And I'd be glad to, personally, I don't know that I'm aware of when these meetings occur. So I'd like to know myself, but I'd also like to communicate that to the chambers to get the business owners part of it, saying, okay, hey, you're a business owner. What do you think of this? What ideas do you have? And I think the more we involve them in this process, the more momentum we can get to doing it in a smart way that makes sense for everybody, to your point, Ted. So
The more successful we could be.
yeah, I don't know how to find out when the meetings are, but is there a place?
I will interject here. I will definitely reach out and make sure that you have all the information. And I absolutely agree with everyone here. I really would like the business's opinions. That is definitely something that we need for this, and to make sure that we are going in the right direction and that it does help and continue to grow businesses and help them save money. So getting their feedback is absolutely dire important.
Thank you. And not just me, Sarah, if that's what you meant, but everybody on the board, I think, could have some
Yes,
connections.
I will send it out to everyone.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we literally just yesterday finalized when the meetings will happen, the next ones for each individual group. So I'll make sure that you have it all.
Thank you.
So the way the climate action implementation plan was written, everything in there is like a suggestion. It's an idea. And nothing has been implemented yet. Nothing has been mandated, if ever. And so every single item will have to come through the entire committee process before it becomes an action. And we have many. So this is a lifetime project for Sarah and Austin and me to, we know what we'll be doing when we're 100 years old, still implementing the climate action plan. So anything that is in the climate action plan will have to be passed as a resolution or an ordinance in energy and environmental, then possibly finance, then executive, then the full county board. And of course, the full county board represents the full 500,000 people of us. So nothing's going to happen overnight. Nothing's going to happen without a lot of input. And I also want to remind everybody that the climate action plan was only when we were implementing it, when we were trying to get it passed by the county board, we had several town hall meetings. So throughout the county. So we're always trying to engage more people in this. And that's the only way it's going to happen. Do with more engagement. Mr. Roth.
Roth here. One of the comments Mr. Gripe made about, prescriptions going. There are several programs, but I don't think we need to do as a county a better job of communicating. Several police departments have a drop off for prescriptions. But we don't advertise that, you know, and it's kind of related to recycling and also pollution, environmental. That we should get something that, you know, have Julie publish in Kane County Connect. The other thing, and a big plus for the public health, one of the handouts they give is a little packet. And you get warm water, fill your medicine container, pour that packet in, and it makes it inert, and then you can throw it out in the garbage. And that was a handout. I first got it at the county fair last year, and I actually used it.
Okay. So I have something to say about that. For my 15 years as the chairman of the Aurora Green Fest, the Fox and Ms. Shragi, I hope you got your ears up. Fox Metro would come. So the water departments are petrified of meds getting into the water, because they take they have all these wonderful processes for cleaning up the water, but not for birth control pills, not for things, many meds are just not part of their screening process. So they would come every year, there'd be maybe an officer, a police officer sitting there taking medications. Sometimes they'd have boxes and back crates full of medication. So anybody flushing meds down the toilet has not been educated.
Right.
And if it's happening in the hospitals, I will scream. But so let's talk after the meeting.
Okay, but
I was just going to add, Miss Ryan can speak to it better. She's on vacation right now. But they did change the state law and require a certain number of prescription takebacks within a certain mileage as of this year. So all of that's on our website, our recycling website. It's going out as the recycling coach that you can find the nearest location that takes back prescriptions. But a lot of the CVSs and the Walgreens are taking them back as well. Our coroner's office is taking them back. So there's within a reasonable driving distance is mandated now that there's prescription take back. But I will specifically note that to Ms. Ryan to provide some more information next month.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
But we need to do a push out, because you're saying it's on the website. How many people actually go to the website?
It's actually going out with all the recycling postcards in the next week here. There's a QR code and it links you directly to the.
But we should take advantage of Julie with Kane County Connect.
All of the above. Okay.
Thank you.
So Ms. Wolnick, will you ask Ms. Ryan to make sure that goes to Kane County Connects? Is that how we'll do that?
She will be pushing out all that information along with the new recycling, all of our events for 2025, as well as pushing out that information for Recycling Coach. In the postcards, we've got 20,000 of them coming. So it'll be a big push out and a lot of information in the next couple weeks here.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. One and all. So exciting. All these great efforts. I believe we are ready for Ms. Ryan is on vacation. We're Fabulous Fox. Ms. Miller, are we ready? Yes, sir. Oh.
Mark Schrage. I just wanted to know if I could actually speak to the point that Ms. Lewis was talking about.
I think you're out of order, sir, but come talk to us after the meeting, okay?
Well, will I have everybody's ear at that point?
I'll sneak it in, okay.
You what? Okay. I also was at that first meeting. I know to the extent that somebody even questioned climate change. And I got to say that wasn't acceptable. Regardless of where you fall on the matter, at that point, it really wasn't acceptable.
For that meeting.
Question climate change.
At that meeting.
And also I wanted to put in the idea that I don't know how capable Kane County is to truly look at the macro pollutants coming into the water and air. I mean, the aerosols that are coming from the air. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, please don't get me in trouble. Sit down because you're out of order.
And that's a science that isn't being looked at.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks a lot. Ms. Miller.
Good morning. If I could just add an experience with the medication. My partner was recently in the hospital, and when he was discharged, the nurse told him not to flush any leftover meds down the toilet, but that he should take them either to the police station or to Walgreens or CVS. So maybe that is a trend, hopefully, that is, you know, starting in the hospitals when people are discharged.
Thanks.
Okay, so now I'll talk about the Fabulous Fox. So I thought it would be a good idea to give an overview of the Fabulous Fox National Water Trail for new board members and also an update to not new board members. I know that you've had some resolutions before you the past few months regarding projects that we're doing for the Fabulous Fox. And so I hope that this will put those resolutions in context for you. Oh, I don't have, is there a clicker?
Yeah, it's called Charlie.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I think that's my kayak. No, I'm kidding.
You are in our video, Mavis, that our marketing consultant put together that is being streamed. So I can say that much. Nope. Let's see.
There you go.
There we go. No, it didn't move. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's moving. Wait.
Oh, wait, no, come back. Yes, no.
I think it's okay. Okay, so 158 fabulous miles across 2 states and 8 counties with over 70 public access sites. This all started back in 2014 at the Fox River Summit up in Burlington, Wisconsin, which was a collaboration between the Fox River Ecosystem Partnership in Illinois and the Southeast Fox River Partnership up in Wisconsin. And yesterday we celebrated our 13th annual Fox River Summit, which is an excellent all-day meeting of individuals that give presentations on all things Fox River, and it's also a great networking opportunity. So anyway, back in 2014, Angie Tornes from the National Park Service talked about the National Water Trail System. And a bunch of us in the audience got excited about the opportunity of maybe looking into doing something like that. I came back thinking that I might create a water trail through King County. And so a bunch of us got together and we talked about the opportunity. We connected with Angie. I connected with her and she said, no, we want you to do the whole river, not just King County. So 200 miles.
Have you been working on this for 11 years, Karen?
We actually started in 2015.
Okay.
And then we had the pandemic and a number of our team members sort of disappeared for a while and then we got back together. So yeah, it's
great.
It's been a labor of love. So thanks to volunteers, the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning and the Southeast Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, we had a couple dozen volunteers go out for us. We had created surveys that they could complete for us online or on paper. And they went to the access sites and they filled out information for us about what amenities are there. What is it like to paddle different segments of the river? That was really phenomenal. And then CMAP and Southeast Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission got together and put these 14 maps together. We received technical assistance from the Park Service, I should say, from Angie Tornes for 3 years. So she took us through the process of creating a water trail that would be acceptable to the National Park Service. So we divided the river into 14 segments so that these maps would be readable and people could download them, print them out. You can bring them up on your phone or on your tablet while you're on the river. And so that was a big part of the data gathering that we did at the beginning. So we have different drop downs on our website, and I see that this is pretty difficult to read, but We do have different drop-down menus where you can get safety information. We have a drop-down part where each of the access sites has detailed information about it. And you can see down in the lower left-hand corner, that's sort of a blow-up of the Mount, if I can't read that myself, the Mount St. Mary's that's Fabian Forest Preserve. And we have all kinds of detailed information about each of the access sites so that you know what you're getting into when you're doing a paddle. We also have the maps that I talked about that you can print out or you can bring up on your tablet or your phone. We also have dozens of itineraries that we have created. So if you want to go out for the day and you have, depending on the level of your paddling ability, you can look at the itineraries and find out what might be good for you. And then that last drop down on the lower right-hand corner is our partners. We had a lot of partners and I was not able to get them all on this screenshot. So one of the first things we did, we got some funding from some of the convention and visitors bureaus in both Wisconsin and Illinois to pay a graphic artist to create our website and brochures and some stickers and things that we could hand out. And so this is our first brochure that covers the entire Fox River. It also took a community of partners. We had to get letters or resolutions of permission from all of the entities in Wisconsin and Illinois that own the access sites along the river. And I have to tell you, this process, I have just gotten so much support from people as I have introduced this to people and the different entities that were very excited to be a part of this. However, at this time, LaSalle County does not qualify for the designation that we received to be part of the National Park Service because one of their criteria is that their access sites have to be no farther than 5 miles apart. And LaSalle County, there is a section, they have very few access sites in LaSalle County. It is a beautiful part of the river because there are bluffs down there along the banks. However, there is a section where there's over 20 miles between access sites. So we do have all of their information on our website. So if you do want to paddle down there, we do have all that information. They're just not part of the National Water Trail. We were also required to install signage at all of the access sites before we submitted our application. And you can see up at the top, we have 2 different signs at each access site. One will give you the name and the river mile of that access site. And the river mile is determined by starting at 0 at the confluence with the Illinois River in Ottawa and then going north. And then the second map has a list of safety recommendations. It has our website, a QR code, and also a map of that area. We have one of the maps on the left facing the access site and one facing the river so that when you're on the river, you can orient yourself to where you're at. And then we also have the second map with the map, or the second sign with the map that faces the land. So we submitted our application on November 2nd of 2022. And you see here a list of best management practices that were required by the National Park Service. And what we had to do in our application was we had to prove that there were stakeholders along the river that had implemented all of these best management practices of recreation opportunities, education, restoration, community support, public information, trail maintenance. And also we had to create a planning document that includes all of the best management practices that we would continue to implement once we receive the designation. Now, I had a ton of material to draw from because we have so many organizations and so many stakeholders, local governments along the river that have been implementing these best management practices for decades. Our application turned out to be 100 pages long, but I could have kept going, but I ran into the November 2nd deadline. So we also needed to get letters or resolutions of support, and we did get over 40 from different organizations, local governments, elected officials, et cetera, which was very exciting. I didn't have any trouble getting letters or resolutions of support. And so then on June 2nd of 2023, former Secretary of the Interior, Deborah Holland, designated 9 new national recreation trails, 8 of which were land-based, and we were the only water trail that was designated in 2023. And I was told by the Park Service that we had an exemplary application, and I was invited to speak with them at a webinar that they do every year for entities that want to submit an application. And so I got to speak as an example of what they thought was the right thing to do. So that was pretty exciting. So what is the National Park Service National Water Trails System? It is a distinctive national network of exemplary water trails that are cooperatively supported and sustained. Recreational routes on waterways consisting of a network of public access points supported by broad-based community partnerships that provide both conservation and recreational opportunities. On the left, you will see a screenshot from the National Recreation Trails website, which shows, yes.
Okay, we don't want to take away your control, but next time I think you can make.
Am I
it
not
so-
controlling?
Yeah, you got control, so. Okay.
On the left, you see a screenshot from the National Recreation Trails website, and each of those blue dots is a designated recreation trail. The great majority of them are land-based. I think at this point, there's about 40 water trails in the country. So one of those little blue dots on there is us. And then on the right side, you see the web page from the National Park Service website for the fabulous Fox Water Trail that gives some basic information. It has links to our website, et cetera. So that's pretty exciting. So as I mentioned, we were not able to include LaSalle County in our application, but we don't want to forget about our friends in LaSalle County, especially the Conservation Foundation, who takes paddlers there every year. And they were very helpful as our volunteers for collecting data down in LaSalle County. And you can find that information on our website.
Karen? Ms.
Yes.
Miller? So is it 20 miles because the terrain is so, it's too hard to have a put in? Because I've been down there and it's the Dells, right? The
It
Dells
looks
of the
very
Fox-
much like the Dells. Most of LaSalle County along the Fox River is privately owned,
Oh,
and a lot of it is agricultural. And so there's a very few access sites.
mhm.
We were advised that all of the access sites that we put into the water trail be publicly owned, because if you get into private ownership, like I can give you an example up in the Chain of Lakes, there are a couple restaurants up there that had access sites. And then over a couple of years, it changed, one of the restaurants changed ownership. They decided to get rid of the access site. So it would be too difficult for us to keep track of all of that. Whereas publicly owned land tends to stay in public ownership. And so it's easier for us to manage. But down in LaSalle County, there's very little public land along the shore. There are 3 or 4 like rentals that are private down there that I did contact and ask them if they might be interested, and I never got a response back. So, but the information is still there. So if you want to paddle,
Be ready for a long paddle.
beware of the huge Dayton Dam, which is the only hydropower dam on the Fox River,
Those
which is
give me
huge.
nightmares. Okay.
So anyway, moving forward, we are continuing to implement the best management practices in our management plan. A couple of years ago, we were awarded the $1.2 million American Rescue Plan funding If you recall the American Rescue Plan criteria, there were 4 different categories that you had to fall into one of them in order to receive the federal funding through American Rescue Plan. One of them was for tourism, and the goal was to try and make up for money that was lost through the pandemic through these 4 categories. And so we did find out that there was, of course, tourism money lost in Kane County over the pandemic. And so we qualified for that. And one of the opportunities with the water trail is to boost tourism, to get people to come into Kane County, to enjoy paddling, enjoy our other recreational activities, our cultural and historic sites that we have. And so we did qualify through American Rescue Plan to receive this money, which we're using for planning, marketing, infrastructure for new and improved access and signage. We also applied and received Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Tourism and Attractions Grant money, $270,000, some of which we're using for improvement and construction of new access sites. We received our first grant in 2022, and last December, we applied for another one of these grants for $100,000, and we're still waiting to hear back about that grant. We also received the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity Travel and Tourism Grant, which we are still spending. That money we have, I believe it's till the end of October. That money is going to go for marketing. So as far as marketing goes, we contracted with Gilmore Marketing Concepts out of Elgin, and we have been working with Kim Gilmore for the last couple of years on a marketing and communications plan for the water trail through Kane County. She has been phenomenal to work with. She's very creative, and you can see a list of the things that we have worked with her on. Hopefully we will get that other grant I just talked about so we can continue working on these things going into this year and the following year. But she did a whole branding kit for us. So if anybody wants to market the water trail, not only Kane County, but other entities, the landowners, whoever, we have marketing branding rules that they can use our logo, but it has to be in certain colors and certain ways. She put that kit together for us. She's doing digital marketing, display marketing, public relations, content marketing, online, including Kane County website and Facebook. She takes care of our Facebook page. She puts something new on there almost every day. We have a print brochure that she designed that's specifically for Kane County. Radio, including we did a WGN sweepstakes last year, where we gave away some of our freebies on WGN. I also did 2 interviews with WGN last year, which was a lot of fun. We're advertising on streaming television where she did a short, we have a 15-second video and a 30-second video that she put together, and Mavis is in both of those. We also have a bunch of promotional merchandise like stickers, and stickers are like so popular now. We have magnets, we have pins, we have water bottles, all kinds of things that I take with me when I set up my table at different events, like at the summit yesterday or at Mavis's Greenfest. We did a few of the races last year, the marathons, to try and promote the water trail. We have an online store, which is so-so. The things are pretty expensive, and I don't think that's working really well, but that's okay. We tried it. Last year we did 4 billboards, and this year we're going to do bus tails, which is the back end of the buses. We've identified 2 of the routes that go through Kane County, and one goes up into McHenry County, and then the other one goes east into Naperville. And so we're going to, I think it's on 4 buses for each of the routes. There's going to be our advertising on the back of the bus. And you can see this, the photo on the lower right-hand side is a screenshot from the Kane County website. And then the top part where you see paddle and then there's a graphic. That's what our marketing banners look like. She did 5 or 6 of those for us with different activities along the river, like biking, enjoy, celebrate, things like that. And so those you'll see on the bus tails. I think they start in June. So we're also looking at doing what is called a SUFA sign, and we have a prototype down in the auditorium if anyone is interested in looking at it. It's been there since June. It's a sign that we learned about. It's about 7 feet tall. It has solar panels on the top, so you don't need electricity to run it. It has up to 4 widgets that you can choose to put on one side. We would probably use 2 of the widgets, one for the National Weather Service and one for what's called the USGS river gauges that are in the river that measure the flow and the height of the river. So if you wanted to go out paddling, and let's say one was in St. Charles, because St. Charles is interested in having one of these, you could look at that and check and make sure that the river is flowing at, what you feel comfortable paddling in. We have to remember that the Fox River starts up in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and it can rain up there, as it has been this year. They've gotten rain and we've gotten nothing down here. Eventually that rain makes its way down to Kane County. And so all of a sudden you can get a rush of water that might be a little challenging for your ability. So those would be the 2 widgets that Kane County would have. And then the other 2 widgets would be left to the community. So they could put any kind of information they wanted on there. They could have, and it's real time. So it could be like a park district schedule. It could be the government schedule. It could be flea markets or farmers markets, whatever they choose. And then you see that it is wrapped in some of our marketing for the water trail. So we are hoping to get some funding, as I talked about before, from the state. And then we will be working with the communities that are interested to see if they would like to help pay for part of it. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But we have a number of communities. We held a breakfast last year and invited all of the landowners and the communities in Kane County to come and see the SUFA sign and then let us know. They put dots on a map of where they might want to see a SUFA sign in their community. And so we will be working hopefully with that.
Ms. Strathman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
On these signs, is that digital, or is it, if the community wants to put something on there, is it paper that they put in? Or?
No, it's internet. It's
Oh, it is
connected to
all,
the internet.
okay, that
Right.
makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Right. So it's real time. And what it does, you're welcome to go and look at it in the basement. It's plugged in. And so there is like an example of one that they've done elsewhere. And you can set it up so that the screen changes after so many seconds.
Oh,
So
nice,
it
nice.
depends if you want it to change every 10 seconds or more than 10 seconds, you can set it up and control that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Mr. Panasas?
Thank you.
There's a lot of dams along the Fox River. Is there portaging information?
Oh, yes, yes, that is something that is very important for safety. If you look at our maps, you will see a very distinctive icon that shows where the dams are. And then we also show where the portaging is to get around. And then on our website, there's detailed information about that. If you look if there's a dam near the access site, or if you look in our itineraries, then we will mention you need to portage around such and such a dam.
And I have a comment. Anybody else? Oh, Mr. Gripe, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mavis.
No.
All right, thank you. So I'm curious, is this funded by the Illinois Department or potentially funded by the Illinois?
The SUFA signs will be potentially funded. If we get that Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity grant that we applied for last December, then we will use some of that money for the SUFA signs. And then we will also talk to the communities to see if they will do some cost sharing with
Yeah,
us.
I was gonna say, you know, if I'm St. Charles, I look at this, I'd probably want one of these. Let's make them pay for it.
Yeah, and then, we may just do it for 2 or 3 years to show people what it can do, and then the communities could take it over.
How do you keep these from being stolen? Because these are pretty cool.
Well, it is pretty heavy. I mean, I've tried moving it downstairs because somebody pushed it against the wall, and I tried moving it out and I can't
Yeah.
move it. We also asked about vandalism, and they have not had issues with that, but they will come out if there is some like graffiti or anything. They will come out and clean it for free. Also, they did tell us that they had one up in Miami that went through a hurricane and it was fine.
How much are they?
I don't have that information with me. I'm sorry. I didn't bring that with
Well,
today, but they're bolted down to concrete, so they're easily installed. So they're not just sitting there where you can push them over.
Louis.
So I just haven't answered you for that, not the cost. When we finally approved this, and this went on for a long time, we vetted this so over, finally got approved through the Jobs Committee, and Mark Van Kerkhoff's group. If you go back a few months and just search it, you can actually see the contract of how much they're going to cost, what the county's going to pay. And then there's several things that if we get this grant, it's going to be this, and here's where it's going to go. If not, it's this, and there is a cost share in there for the cities, because we definitely we're promoting the cities, which we want to, but it is definitely a partnership. So you're right on. But if you want me to find it, I can find the document.
Or I can send you that information. Mark gave a presentation to Jobs Committee and had that detailed information on there. I just don't remember it all off the top of my head, but I can send that to you. So we also,
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Mr. Ross.
You haven't gone yet.
Oh,
Mavis,
okay, I have
And
not.
you're on the committee.
I don't like these. I think they're ugly. I want to make sure that I'm on the record as stating that I don't ever want to see one of these from my kayak when I'm in the river. I think it disturbs.
It's a flooding.
Somebody's, I think they disturb the natural feel of the river. If you want to put them up in a parking lot where I won't ever see them, that's fine. Please keep in mind that the Fox River is a nature space, and we're running out of those, and you can't make more of them. And keep your advertising off my river. I do agree that the level is important. By the way, anything over 2,100 cubic feet per second, no beginners in the river. And I agree that there's important information there that anybody can get off their cell phone. So I'm overstating this a little bit, but when it's one against everybody else, you got to stick to your guns. So, Mr. Ross.
It was presented in jobs because I think it was
Yep.
economic development, but also isn't the company a local company?
Is it local?
I believe they are, yes.
That was one of the
believe they
comments
are.
made last year. The other thing, there's a lot of crossover between Bike Pass and the river.
In
And
what?
Bike Pass.
Bike
Path.
paths. Bike paths.
You got Red Gate, you got, most.
Yeah.
And it might be helpful maybe to have a widget tying in that to the bike path.
Bike path.
too.
Mhm.
And I think part of the reason, if we had put in a paddle dispenser in there, then maybe Mavis would be more open to it. I'm kidding, Mavis.
Myself in a lot of trouble, but I'm not going to stop
So Mavis, we
against this every time I could.
And I
We
booed you
did-
every
we-
time.
We did take your concerns into consideration, and you may remember at Jobs Committee, Mark had our mapping planner do an aerial map of Mount St. Mary Park, because that's where St. Charles is thinking about putting one, and then showing the radius and how close to the river it would be. And we kind of think, it would be hard to see it from the river in the spot that we
Okay.
But
thanks a
Except
lot.
if you're Mavis, because
should be looking.
All of my binoculars out looking for. Thank you. Thank you for that. I can see the value of it, but I treasure our natural spaces so much, and there's so few of them. I mean, sometimes you're paddling through a city. In Aurora, we put in at Illinois, we paddle up, you know, paddle, 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 up, and finally you're into the trees. If at that spot, we finally get to the trees, there was one of these signs, I would cry. So, but thank you for, they just shouldn't, there's a place for them that's appropriate and then not.
And, you know, the communities are looking at them being near their downtowns because that's going to help their economic development. If they can provide information for people that are walking in that
Perfect,
area.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're also looking at wanting to install wayfinding signs. We do have our beautiful access site signs up, but you know, it would be helpful to have some wayfinding signs that would be on roads that could lead you to where the access sites are, especially arterials and, you know, more heavily trafficked roads. Also, we would like to put signs on the bridges that go over the Fox River. If you travel, I want to say it's Route 80, and it's when we drive to Florida, we cross the Kankakee River, which is also a nationally designated water trail, and they have a sign on their bridge saying Kankakee River National Water Trail. And the first time I saw it, I'm like, we need to have something like that. Also, it's helpful for orientation if you have signs on the bridges you're going under as you're paddling, so you know what street you're going under, and then that helps you figure out where you are on the map. So we're looking at doing some of that. Hopefully we'll get that grant from the state to do some of these things.
Looks like $103,000 for 12 signs.
Go back, please.
For the SUFA signs, it looks like I went back.
Oh,
to
you're looking this
November.
up?
Yeah, $103,000.
103,000 for how much?
Resolution.
It's about $84,000.
I don't think it's not
Please.
$84,000 a sign. I think it was closer to,
How many signs? Ted,
For
Ted?
12.
12 divided by.
100,000 for 12.
Yeah.
All right, so 8,000 a sign.
4,000, that's 8,000, yeah.
8,000 a sign. Sounds right.
Oh, those darn decimals.
Mhm.
Okay, please go on, Ms. Miller.
Okay. I can send that out to the committee, that a slide that Mark did for Jobs Committee, so that you all have that information. So what the big project is this year is our Kane County Access Infrastructure Project, which is funded by the Kane County American Rescue Plan and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. The purpose is to improve access site infrastructure for all abilities along the Fox River. So we've been working with Hay and Associates to do engineering on potential sites in Kane County along the Fox River. Last year, again, we had a breakfast. We invited all the landowners. We said, we're interested. We have money to do some what are called universal design access sites, which I call a step above the ADA access sites, because it serves more individuals with different abilities. And we had after that breakfast, we had about 29 requests from different landowners along the river as to where they might like to see an access site. And then Hay and Associates did a list of criteria, and they ranked each of those applications. And they looked at a variety of things, including if any of these dams come out, what might be the potential change in the river level? Also, are we close to any downtowns or places where people could get out of the river and walk to a restaurant, to get ice cream, to see a historic or cultural site, et cetera. So we came up with the following 5 winners who will be receiving the new access sites this year is Carpentersville, East Dundee, South Elgin, Montgomery, and Batavia. We now also went out for bid for a contractor to construct the access sites. And we have a contract with Earthworks, who has experience doing this type of access site. also a couple of years ago at the Fox River Summit, we saw a presentation from a company called Board Safe, which they build access sites, but they're very sort of, I'll call them flexible in what they do. And you can kind of decide what you want for your access site instead of just buying one that is, that is off the shelf, I'll say. And so we looked into them and we decided to go with Board Safe. So they will be building the docks for us. So right now we are waiting for our permits from the Army Corps of Engineers. Hay and Associates has been working with them to answer any questions they might have, and also with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. They need to also approve the permit. So we're waiting for that. And whenever those permits come through, we are ready to do construction. And so those could conceivably be done by the middle of the summer, maybe. So that's very exciting because they could still then be used this paddling season.
May I ask a question, maybe?
Oh, Mr. Gripe.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. Curious, this is cool. Are these assuming or incenting removal of the dams at these locations?
They're not incenting anything. They're looking at Hay looked at the existing conditions of the river.
Okay.
But then looking at, because some of the landowners wanted to put a new access site in an area where if a dam came out, the water level might change, and we don't want to risk any of the docks coming high and dry. And so they did a very careful analysis of what might happen if any of the dams came out, but also looked at other criteria too, where, can I walk and get something to eat and spend money in Kane County? Can I go and see a historic or cultural site? Can I do something else, besides just paddling on the river?
Yeah, the village, I've met with the village of South Elgin, their plans, they're so excited about moving forward. It's right by an ADA playground.
Yes.
So this is like a perfect location in South Elgin. They're very excited.
I know this will be a very nice addition to their Seba Park
Yep.
playground. Carpentersville is building a brand new park on a piece of, it was kind of a brownfield site that juts out into the river that they acquired. And so the access site will be there, but they'll also be building park amenities. There'll be a pavilion there, et cetera. And Montgomery has done a lot over the years with developing along the river. The land is actually owned by the Fox Valley Park District, but they've worked very well with the village of Montgomery, and they've improved their park down there. So yeah, so it's very exciting.
I have a question. Do these new, do you want to guess what my question
Yeah,
is?
is there porta potties there?
Yes.
Okay, so Carpentersville, we can go through the 5. Carpentersville is going to, like I said, they're going to be building a pavilion that will have not a porta potty, but it'll have washrooms.
Okay, that's great.
I believe I can't say there'll be flush toilets, but I think there'll be a
Doesn't
step
matter.
above the porta potties.
Okay.
East Dundee, I'm not sure if they're going to be adding their current park that they have, which they will be improving. I don't know if they're going to be adding porta potties. South Elgin does have a washroom on site.
Okay.
Batavia Park District has a washroom, and Montgomery has a washroom. So we got 4 out of 5.
I just want to keep our consciousness as high as possible.
Maybe we could put that on the kiosk.
Mr. Gripe.
Thank you, ma'am. So could we get electric digital signs that say bathroom over here? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. You have a serious question. So a lot of economic development incentive behind all.
Oh,
this.
yes.
And I'm curious, who's going to measure that and how they're going to
Okay.
measure that?
Oh, that is something I have been trying to research since I started this project. How do you measure how many people get on the river? It's easy on a bike path. You can put that counter across the land. So I have been looking into that. And It just so happened I was at Canoecopia last Saturday, which is, for those of you that don't know, it's the Midwest largest paddling event. It's kind of like going to the auto show, but for paddlers. And they have like dozens of seminars. It's really a cool thing. In fact, Angie from the Park Service and I gave a presentation at Canoecopia on the water trail a few years ago. But anyway, so I like to go around and talk to people and see what they're doing because they have tables, booths, and that kind of thing. And I did run into somebody that knows about an economic development way of studying water trails and the advantages. So I got his information and I'm going to be looking into that.
And last is just kind of a comment. I'm on the ARPA committee, so very sensitive to that being used well, but just want people to keep in mind that that money it's like a gas tank that's almost empty. And when it's empty, there's no more money to go. So
Confused.
do things that don't require coming back to the county and saying, oh, by the way, so.
We are very well aware of that. And we have been working with the ARPA committee and with the consultants, Suzanne Fonstock and with Ernst & Young, very regularly to make sure that we are meeting the guidelines of the grant. So in fact, we have to do intergovernmental agreements with each of the landowners and the state's attorney's office. We've been working on this with the state's attorney's office for months. We thought we would get them all in place by the end of the year. And they were just finished a couple weeks ago where I could send them out to the landowners because they have to then go through their process, their village or park district process. Their attorneys look at it, they send it back to me. I send it to the state's attorney for, approval. And those all have to be in place before we start construction. So yes, so the state's attorney's office is very much looking into that. So nothing comes back saying you couldn't spend the money on that. It's, or whatever.
Well, I
So
was more just be careful you don't put something in place that's going to need more money that has to be created from some other source because ARPA's
Yeah.
gone.
right. And, working with Hay and Associates has been very good. They come highly recommended. And so they really did a lot of careful engineering work at the 5 sites that were selected. And they have all the engineering plans in place to pass on to Earthworks. They've been working with Earthworks. We had a meeting about 3 weeks ago, all of us, to talk about that. The timeline, what Earthworks, needs, any adjustments that need to be made to the engineering plan. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that we're going to be okay.
Thank you for that question. I have 2 questions. What are we doing about conservation? How much effort this is for tourism and conservation.
Mhm.
I hear mostly tourism. What is going into conservation?
Regarding the
this-
access sites, are you talking about, or in what?
Preserving the river, helping the river.
Okay, like I said, when I was putting the application together, I just went into websites and I talked to people along the river. And like I said, there was so much work that has been done by the different organizations over the decades that the application probably could have been 200 pages long.
Okay.
Because we have all of these in place. Not all river trails that I'm learning have this. I mean, you look at all the organizations that are along the river, not only the organizations, but the local governments that are doing things, the Forest Preserve District, the park districts. So there's a lot of things going on that we are partnering with regarding conservation.
Okay.
That's a big part of this because that's what's important to the Park Service, along with the economic development. And
Okay, I want the
education and-
economic development and I want the
Mhm.
river protected
Right.
and made better with
Mhm.
resilience. Okay, my other question is, or a statement is, as a kayaker, I won't go on a part of the river that I'm not with somebody else, of course, and especially a tour guide. Sometimes I've been I've paddled Montgomery. That's a pretty hairy paddle, parts of it. we lost a few kayakers, not permanently, but that day.
I hope.
So I'm thinking, I mean, maybe this is a partnership we could have with the Forest Preserve. They do some kayaking,
Mhm.
but I'd like to see tours of every segment on different days or something guided.
I would love to see that too. One thing we do need is we need more rental companies.
Oh,
We
yes.
have Howling Wolf down in Aurora, who is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He talked about expanding, I don't know if that's going to happen. Yesterday at the summit, a man came up to our water trail table. He just started a business, that type of business where they take you out on tours of the river. He's on the Milwaukee River and he's interested in the Fox River. So I said, please, so I have his information and, we'll talk, but we definitely need more opportunities for people that don't have their own boats to get on the river and also, guides.
And you've got a plan that you're,
Well, I'm trying. Every time I do an event, I do talk to people when I can about that. At Canoe Kopi, I did the same thing. So
okay, thanks a lot. Mr. Caius.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Caius. Sure, and I think this is all so exciting from what this started when I first got on the board 6 years ago. It's just Karen's done a phenomenal job. I think that the more we do, the more we'll see people interested in it. I don't know if we've mentioned the El Cardinal that the
Oh, yeah, I can
Fox,
mention
the Fox
that.
River,
Mhm.
or the Friends of the Fox
Mhm.
is organizing. I think that's important as a step that's bringing individual things that are coming to the river. But you want to
Sure, I
You
can
heard
talk
that, yes, you
briefly
want-
about it. So Friends of the Fox River, which is one of our major partners on the river, all of you that know them, they have done phenomenal work. They came up with the idea of celebrating, since the Carpentersville Dam is now out, this is the longest stretch of free-flowing Fox River in Kane County, which is 10.2 miles. And so they would like to have a celebration, which I'm on the committee. We have the communities that are between Algonquin and Elgin that are on board. It would be great if the Carpentersville and East Dundee access sites were built by then, but we'll see how that goes. But on June 22nd, we're going to be having a celebration that people can sign up for. And it's a paddle between Algonquin and Elgin. And it will be a maximum of 200 people that can sign up for it. Because this is the first year doing that. So we just want to make sure that we're not taking on too much. We're looking for sponsors. There's going to be then a celebration near the library in Elgin when people get out. And we plan on having like food trucks and entertainment, and people can have booths and tables there. I'm going to be giving away swag bags of merchandise that are for the water trail, and also other businesses that want to put coupons for their restaurants in there or other freebies, things like that. We're going to have volunteers that will be providing, safety on the river. Friends of the Fox River has applied for a grant from the city of Elgin. They offer these grants that are like in-kind services. So you don't get money, but you get services like, okay, we'll put up tables. How many tables do you need in the park? We'll provide the police and fire protection. We're hoping that the fire department can have 1 or 2 motorboats out on the river, because we'll be getting out above the Elgin Dam, and we don't want somebody to be in line to get out and say, oh, let me just paddle over here, and then whoops, we don't want that to happen. So we're looking at all of these things, and we do have safety experts, and we have certified paddlers and those that we are recruiting to help people get in the river. Oh, and where the Carpentersville Dam was, the Forest Preserve is going to have like an educational place where you can get out and you can learn about the dam, you can learn about the river. Barb McKittrick is setting that up for us with the Forest Preserve. So we have a lot of partners working on that. So we continue to work on it. getting to the point where we can, hopefully send out the registration and the sponsorships and that kind of thing. So, yeah, so that'll be fun. Yes,
There's the name of the day?
it's June 22nd and it's named ELCARDUNAL. And at first when I heard that, I thought, oh, that must be like a historical, maybe indigenous name, but it's not. It's Elgin, Carpentersville, Dundee, and Algonquin. Right.
Okay, whatever. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay,
Just,
we're gonna have to.
Hey, I have a comment though, real quick.
Oh, well. it's
'Cause
your
I know,
meeting,
I know,
Karen.
and
Okay.
this is a jobs related comment, actually.
Oh, good.
So, I
We
wanted to
love
say
those.
that the new Kane County Economic Development Commission, one of the things that we have already talked about is how we engage small businesses along the Fox River. So when you mentioned your contact with this rental company who wants to do the tours, could you share that information with
I can give it to you.
our secretary right back there, Chris?
His office is right across from me, so I think I can find it.
Because seriously,
It's
it's
called-
just talking about that.
Yeah.
because It's going to be a critical.
Howling
thing.
Wolf is fun. So we need,
Bake is great.
we need 10 of those, right?
Right.
So,
Well, and I had asked Chris because what I'd like to see is, I asked Chris for a list of the manufacturing businesses in Kane County, hoping that there would be something outdoor recreation related. And I didn't see anything, but it might be something we want to think about is trying to recruit a company that manufactures some kind of outdoor equipment. It doesn't have to be paddling related. It could be bike related. We have lots of opportunities for outdoor recreation in Kane
Karen,
County. So.
have you talked to Rocktown Adventures in Rockford? They used to have a store in Aurora.
Yeah, they're in Rockford now, and I believe that the Forest Preserve District, that's where they rent their boats from.
Oh, our Forest Preserve rents from?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, maybe they could come back. We'll see.
yeah.
Okay, we got to wrap this up here. Thank you. Did everybody get a chance? Great. So any new business? You.
I know, I'm cutting into my own time. I get that. But this is an appropriate place to bring this up. And I don't know where it's going to go. It's a discussion item. So Aurora, Illinois has had the Green Fest for a lot of years. And Mavis has single-handedly done all the lifting on this event. It's very popular. It's amazing. Forest Preserve is part of it. Fabulous Fox, and I just can't even say how important it is. Well, it's not going to happen this year because of a lot of different reasons. And discussion item, I don't know if that's something that maybe the county should be taking over the Green Fest, especially now that we have the Climate Action Committee. So I just want to throw that out. And I know Mavis won't because it's a conflict, but I think it's critical.
Kane County Green Fest.
Yes,
Sounds
I
pretty good.
absolutely think that.
And I just did get a notice that DeKalb is having the DeKalb County Green Fest. So I was going to talk to Jody about this in private, so she didn't faint or anything.
No,
But,
It's a committee and a county thing that I think is critical.
yeah, so you heard it here first. Thanks. Thank you.
So it's
Louis.
countywide, right? You aren't forgetting Dundee or anything. like that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you
And-
can
and-
have it in St. Charles on the Fabulous Fox, I don't, wherever.
Maybe in
county.
conjunction with the two community colleges, ECC and WCC. Okay, thank you for that new business. Chair's comments, as always, I appreciate the comments of everybody here. This is a great discussion today. Our fabulous Fox and our fabulous sustainability staff who are doing such a great job. May I have a motion
No.
to?
Madam
We have a
Chair,
question.
Oh,
oh, this is Caius. I would
Yes.
ask for unanimous consent to place reports on file. Is that what
thank
you're
you.
doing?
Any objection? Thank you very much. No executive session is needed.
You have a question over there.
Mr. Gripe,
Real quick, back
you
to,
can whistle, I guess.
back to your suggestion, Anita, I think that's a good idea. To Chris's point, I think having it somewhere so everybody can get to it is good. And if we're going to do, let's say, change St. Charles, I'm not
Yeah,
suggesting
I'm
that.
just saying that it's like kind of
We
middle.
could probably get that town invested in it to support and help pay or pay all for it. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay, well, we'll have to keep working on this. And like I said, I was going to talk to Jody on the quiet side, but now you know what's going on in the brains of your elected officials. Okay, may I ask for a motion to adjourn? Mr. Caius,
Caius moves to adjourn.
Ms. Allen?
Actually, Mr. Pennis is planning on seconding.
Second it.
Okay.
That's the second.
Thank you very much. Thanks for a great meeting, everybody.
All in favor?
Oh, oh,
Adjourn.
one more comment? Oh,
I have a comment after the meet, after it's because you may not
Okay.
like it. I came up with an acronym for you. So it's KCGF. So add the A for Kane, add the O for county, and add the E for fast, and you got CACAFP.
Did you turn the tape off for that? I hope.
Well, it's
Yeah.
better than the one Karen threw out. It wasn't Karen.
No, it wasn't me. I had